Welcome to the Bedford Historical Society Speaker Series. Today we have another great program of movies that you might find yourself in, or people you know, your parents. Enjoy.
The Bedford Historical Society Speaker Series is supported in part by the residents of Cuyahoga County through a public grant from the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, and also in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program do not necessarily represent those of Ohio Humanities or the National Endowment for the Humanities, Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, or the Bedford Historical Society. So we're going to start off by not showing you a movie. We're going to before they had movies. This clip that I'm going to show you here shows a flyer from 1876 when they celebrated the centennial, and it was held at the town hall. It was barely 2 years old at that point, and the guy's advertising that he's going to show some scenes where there would be glass lantern slides, and sometimes they would have somebody sing a song, and they'd have slides that illustrated that. And in the flyer, you'll see that he says he's got the strongest light possible at that time. And it's some weird name that he's got up there, but it was basically a piece of limestone that would be infused with oxygen and hydrogen and then lit. And it didn't require electricity, and that was later called limelight. And it was used in a lot of spotlights on stages and stuff, so that's where you get the term being in the limelight. And let's see, there's the song that they do is called Tonight, Sweetheart, Tonight, and I tried to find a recording of it, and I couldn't find one, but I found another song by the same title, so I put that underneath it. And then after that plays, you'll see glass lantern slides that would have been shown at the old Bedford Theater. You know, they would be been shown either as advertising before the film or during reel changes. We don't know a lot about how they ran the Bedford Theater at this point, but you know, if they had more than one projector, then they could do changeovers. But if they didn't, they would basically stop it and say, hey, be patient while we put the next reel up. So here we go. Okay, the next reel is, it's an abridged version of, we got a work print from Jack and Hines, also known as Jocko. They had made a film in 1944 called How Jocko Achieves Production. And a work print is basically a black and white version, if it was color film originally, of all the shots for the editor to kind of figure what they have to work with and what to choose from and stuff like that. So it's like 45 minutes long, so that's why we have an abridged version. Now Jocko was actually, I guess they started with like 50 employees, and when the war came and stuff, they expanded up to 7,000. And basically the company had the people working 7 days a week. They got 1 day off per month, 12-hour shifts, but they would also give them shoes so that they could stand, especially if they were standing. They had a health clinic. They gave them a hot meal during their shift, and they would get 2 weeks paid vacation, and they could take them at no-cost resorts that the company owned. So you could go to Florida for no money and spend your 2 weeks fishing or whatever. And they would go around and pass out donuts. You were allowed to smoke on the job. You were allowed to hang up pin-up pictures. Most of the women that worked there during the war years came in to replace the men that went to war. But when they went in, they knew that when the boys came back, that their jobs were going to go back to the men if the men wanted them. And they also had almost like a radio station there. They had a collection of over 5,000 records that you could put requests, and they would play it over the loudspeakers there. But they also had their own band. It was Reno and the Jocko Melody Boys. And evidently, we did have a record from them with one side is the Reno Polka, the other side is the Jocko Victory Song, which was a song that they would sing, to inspire the workers and stuff. So I put that on here underneath the montage of shots. And unfortunately, the copy we have is cracked. So you're going to hear a little thud noise every so often. I cleaned it up as best I could, but there's only so much we can do with that. So enjoy.
Working every hour for our living, working, stop, go, asking to ending. Everyone must fight for victory. One for all and all for one, we may just moving through. We're for one and Uncle Sam, the old thing, 1 and 2. Stop, go, on to victory. Working hard for Uncle Sam. Stop, go, on to victory. Working every hour for our living, working, stop, go, happy to envy. Everyone must fight for victory. Quotas that are quotas, they to us, there's nothing new. Tackle sergeant, tackle fighters, keep into the boot. Stop, go, on to victory. Working hard for us, for men. Everybody sing! Stop, go, on to victory. Working every hour for our living, working, stop, go, asking to ending. Everyone must fight for victory. One for all and all for one, we may just moving through. We're for one and Uncle Sam, the old thing, 1 and 2. Stop, go, on to victory. Working hard for Uncle Sam. Stop, go, on to victory. Working every hour for our living, working, stop, go, happy to envy. Everyone must fight for victory. Quotas that are quotas, they to us, there's nothing new. Tackle sergeant, tackle fighters, keep into the boot. Stop, go, on to victory. Working hard for us, for men.
Okay, the next one is basically a silent one. It's Bedford High School senior class of 1950 held a dance. And at the end, though, they're all sitting down and singing something. It's probably the alma mater. So the class of 1987 yearbook it was called For the Record. And it had a little vinyl record in there that had a cappella singing the alma mater. So I put that music in underneath that part. It kind of looks like that might be what they're singing. But it seemed like mostly what they were doing there in 1950 was square dancing and musical chairs. And we all know what musical chairs, when you do it with high school kids, the boys are hoping that a girl's going to sit on their lap. So in some cases that happens, but it's just a portion of the film because it is pretty dark. They didn't know what they were doing with the movie lights. So here we go. If you notice any of your mom and dads, shout it out. Yeah, that would never fly in Catholic school. Not sure what this game is. It looks like it's a matchbook, you know, the box matches, and you put it on your nose and you try and see if you can hold it to there. It's not clear. And I got no clue about that one. Okay, everybody, promenade.
And his duck shirt is something else.
Yeah, it makes me want to order one. I don't know what this guy's talking about, but from what's going on in the foreground, it must be instructions on how to pick up girls.
Oh, so that's how it's done.
But the next one is the same senior class, 1950. They had a picnic at Monroe Falls. And the original on this is about 20 minutes long, so we're not giving you all of that. A lot of these ones that I've abridged, when we put this talk up on YouTube, we're going to put the full reels up as well. So you can, you know, be bored if you want. But just shout out if you recognize anybody. We've got a yearbook sitting over there from 1950, and we just kind of went through it and we saw, okay, there's that kid, that kid, that kid. It's so much easier when you have a reference of what they looked like in the film. So, 1950 graduating class.
Yeah, we used to go there.
Yeah, we did too. That and Lake Platte.
didn't have the real good teeth like the dentists weren't doing work back then.
The kids were just little.
Okay, the next one, we're going up now to 1954. It's a Bedford football game. We're not sure who they're playing against. Bedford's in the white jersey, and it was the opposing team's homecoming. And at the very beginning, there's a little bit of the homecoming queen and stuff. And these were from their game films. So basically, they started filming a little bit before they hiked the ball, and as soon as the ball was down, they'd stop. So you don't get a lot of that stuff in between. And again, this is just a part of it because a big fog rolled in, and the rest of it is really not all that interesting. You can barely see it. So here we go. And we don't know who the opposing team was, so trying to figure out who we played against that for their homecoming. Okay, yeah, the marching band music was the marching band of 2009 when they did a concert at the high school. And then when you just heard voices doing the fight song, that was also on that record from the yearbook from 1987.
That field was pretty chewed up. That was later in the year. People had warmer clothes on too. The field, by the end of
Right.
the year, it'd be all a mess. Grass.
Yeah, from the light color of the jersey, my guess is Willoughby South. But we have to check to see, because Willoughby South always had sort of a light blue.
We had game films when I was in school in 70, 71. There was no sound to them either. You know, there's no commentator telling you what's going on. You just pretty much watch it.
Right, and we actually have
The coach
about,
yelling at you, this is what you did wrong. You know?
Now they keep replaying it.
we actually have about 26 game films. Most of them are from the 60s, 60 to 62. Haven't looked at them to see if they're even playable yet.
And there wasn't a whole lot of passing back then either.
Yeah.
High school level.
Well, they couldn't even catch a kickoff, so. When I saw that, it's like, okay, two guys collide. Okay, this is going to be good. Okay, the next one, it's from the firemen. The footage, we don't have the original film, but a retired firefighter, Terry Salvi, paid to have these professionally digitized. And it's films that were shot by George Hannes. And then Terry and Chief Duber came in one day and sat down with me, and we ran these things, and they tried to pick out who some of the people are. So you'll see names kind of popping up and floating around on there at times. Again, this is silent, but it starts out with the police department and the fire department when it was at the Garlic House. And the Garlic House is where Veterans Park is now. And behind there, they stored the fire engines and stuff, and next door to where they had the fire engines was the city jail. You'll be able to see the bars on the window when they pull out a fire engine. After that, it's a lot of what they called controlled burns. In order to give the firemen some practice, they would purposely set up a place on fire, and then they'd kind of control the fire as they burned it down. And it was also a way of clearing properties and stuff. And in the 50s, they were making a lot of way of, there's a barn that gets burned down probably. We don't know where these were done at, but it was probably to make way for industrial complexes to come in. Again, it's silent, so feel free to shout out any comments. And then the end of this reel, there's a Memorial Day parade, which we think is from the 60s. Yeah, in the early days, it would have been all volunteer firemen. I don't think they went to full-time. 63. Yeah, Don here, his dad was one of the firefighters. There's the city jail. You can see it next there with all the bars. That white truck there is a water truck that was given to the city from when they kind of dissolved the civil defense on a federal level. There were 3 trucks that were given to the city. In some areas, some of the more rural ones probably didn't have fire hydrants
Just
yet.
water tankers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know where that fire was?
No.
Where was this at?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know?
Did the fire department back in the days keep logs?
They might. I'm sure they did. We could probably, yeah, there's some people over there. In fact, Terry is trying to put together some kind of a history of the fire department, which is why he got these and had them digitized.
That building in the back. That might be a clue.
Shorty ran an M&M dairy, was it? Downtown?
May I ask, was the fire department back then paid or were they volunteer?
Volunteer. That fire engine there is the Fox Aaron's. That was one of their longest ones that they did. It's still around. It's in the hands of a private collector.
One thing said civil defense, did you see that? Oh, handy sign,
So,
the house.
6'9" he was, I think. Tall guy.
God.
Very steady.
Yeah, Handyside was the only fireman, from what I understand, that died in the service of the fire department.
Do you roughly know what year this took place?
This is in the 50s.
Okay.
Look at the old brick on the barn. Warehouse.
And from what I understand, this is from 16 millimeter film, and if I can get a hold of it, the original film, there's date codes that would have been along the edge, and I might be able to figure out at least when the film was manufactured, and it was probably shot around that same time.
Yeah. Duber. Oh my God. He's the police, fire chief, something, for years.
Fire chief,
Fire chief, right? Fire
Jeff
chief.
Woods,
Mhm.
number.
His daughter went to school with the kids. You had it in preschool? Did you really? Oh, okay. Oh, look at that old house. Oh, what a shame. Nowadays, somebody would have bought that.
And restored it and sold it for $500,000.
Yeah, look at, oh, look at the trim. Oh my God. Forget what that's called.
Trim.
What?
Trim.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's not gingerbread, it's something.
Right.
Yeah, nice apartment.
Kind of fancy name. Oh, look at that stack. Yeah. Big. Barns. Shoot. But, oh my God.
Does it happen to say in the archives what the cause of any of these fires were?
The fire department said them themselves. They were controlled burns. This truck here is another one of the civil defense trucks. And this is filmed at inside the new station at, should be at 65 Columbus. which was near the hospital. It's gone now too. And the dog, that's Prince. That was the fireman's dog. It was donated to the fire department. And he used to, when the alarms went off, he would bark and he'd go to the fires and just keep barking and barking to the point where he was distracting. So what they would do is that when the alarms went off and they'd find out which truck they're not taking, they'd open the door to that truck, dog would jump in, they'd close the door and leave him behind. And this is, I believe, in the 61 Memorial Day Parade. I have no idea who these people are.
Is that going down Orange Line?
That's Moody High. Yeah, it's Columbus Road. You see Moody in the background there.
Because they always merge, they don't,
Yeah.
the VFW always merge.
High school, Moody High School.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, maybe not. It's like,
It had been the junior high at that time because this is the Bedford marching band.
oh my God, there's
Could-
Glory.
Yeah.
One in the coat.
Oh my gosh.
Amy Armstein, I think she was marching.
This, we believe, was Mandrake the Magician Club. No, it's
I'm not sure.
Knights of Columbus. Here's Civil Defense. Civil Defense by then was more of a community-related thing rather than federal. And this is Moody Marching Band.
Moody, that was the best school ever. Moody Junior High. They let it ride. Oh, the Boy Scouts.
Those are the Cubs. There's some Explorers and Boy Scouts. More Cub Scouts. Brownies. And the Girl Scouts. We have no idea who these people are. And then the fire department. We were able to identify quite a few of them, but the names were just all over the place, so I just said, yeah, let's just look at it.
What street was it?
That's Columbus.
What was it?
That was Columbus.
Columbus.
They would go down Columbus and then go up Broadway to the square.
Yeah, Moody was on Columbus.
And they were smart. They put the horses at the back of the parade.
What road?
Next one is another Memorial Day parade. Not sure exactly when. I think we thought it might have been from the 50s, and it's shot as they're coming up Broadway. And if you look in the background at some of the buildings, you see a little glimpse of where Los Galos is. and you'll see that it had more floors than it has now. See, there's Los Galos way in the back, a little taller than it is today.
Yeah.
There's a Sinclair gas station where the Los Galos parking lot is now. There's our Angels of Mercy. I'm not sure if the police department back then was more auxiliary or how many they actually had on staff as well.
You're lucky if you get 3 Boy Scouts now. Look at that. Jeez, come on. The lights with the ribbons and the cards on.
Yeah, Memorial Day parade back then was a lot different than what they get today.
That's the square.
Okay, the next one, and this is the last one, it's an industrial film called Screen Printing Nature's Echo. It's about the history of screen printing, what you do for screen printing, and again, that's like 20 minutes, but there's a segment in there that's Bedford related. So I kind of put a little bit of the opening in, the closing, and had the Bedford segment. And they misidentify Bedford. They call it a different name.
Long before man, there was nature. Nature with all its beauty and brilliance. For centuries, man has tried to copy the beauty of nature's colors and adapt them to those creations which are conceived by his imagination. All around us, in everyday living, all these different things, different shapes, different sizes, receive their color and detail by the same method. All are screen printed. We strive to reflect nature and adapt it to our needs for communication, for enjoyment, for beauty. We echo the beauty of nature. Here at New Bedford, Ohio, a recognized pioneer of screen printing progress is Bert Zahn, who established a museum of screen printing history. Mr. Zahn not only told us how he taught screen printing to the troops in World War II, but he also showed us some samples of screen printing that were made through the period from 1910 to the mid-1940s.
select-a-scene system.
We in the industry honor these pioneers who laid the cornerstones for our present accomplishments.
Made during the Roosevelt era, sometime between 1932 and 1940, under the WPA and NRA programs, where the government appropriated money for different projects such as art. The popular t-shirts of today had a granddaddy many years ago. Silk screen printing got a boost during the war, and these are samples of some of the work that they did while they were in training in the United States.
When time was young, nature gave us beauty in its purest form. Since man has progressed to appreciate nature, he has tried to copy it, preserve it, repeat it. After all, screen printing in its most colorful form is nature's echo.
And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, if any of you guys have any old 8mm, Super 8, 16mm films, you know, that you, of family stuff that hopefully has, you know, parades or something in Bedford. You know, we don't want Johnny's 3rd birthday, but we'll, you know, bring them in. We'll digitize them for you and give you back the originals, but we'll put them in our archives. So thank you for coming.